The rich man vs the poor man, who's actually happier? Rich people spend money to save time. Poor people spend time to make money. Both these sayings couldn't be more true when it comes to their day-to-day lives. We'll now show you the contrast between a rich man's life and a poor man's life. So without further ado, let's begin. 7 o'clock a.m. Rich man versus 5 o'clock a.m. Poor man. It was a lovely Sunday morning. Sunlight was pouring in through the window. Birds were chirping outside. The rich man woke up in his luxurious king-size bed. He was living in a huge mansion with a swimming pool and a beautiful garden. He was thankful that he lived close to his workplace. On the way, he used his smartphone to check his stock investments and business deals. He left the office and went to a nearby restaurant with his colleagues. They ate delicious food from the buffet and talked about their favorite sports team. Some of them even discussed their weekend plans. As the lunch progressed, they started making fun of each other's choices. On the other hand, the poor man was eating leftovers. This helped him save some money and stay full throughout the day. Most of his co-workers did the same. They ate in silence and returned to work. Meanwhile, the poor man was walking towards his workplace. His worn-out shoes made walking difficult. But still he managed to keep going. To top it all off, it was raining heavily. He was concerned about global warming and other social issues. He donated money to charity so that he could feel that he was making a difference. Meanwhile, the poor man was struggling to make ends meet. He had to find ways to earn extra money. He thought about taking up a second job, but he was already too exhausted. They drank expensive whiskey and smoked premium cigars. Some of them even took drugs. They partied all night and didn't return home until late. On the contrary, the poor man was fast asleep. He dreamt of a world where everyone had access to basic amenities like food, shelter, and clothing. His mind was fresh and he was eager to complete his pending tasks. Money can't buy happiness, but it can make you comfortable while being unhappy. We hope you liked the video. Subscribe so that we can share more interesting stuff with you. We appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. The air conditioner was blowing cold air, so he felt comfortable and relaxed. The windows were tinted and he played soft music in the car. He enjoyed the freedom that came with being wealthy. Everything he wanted was available at the touch of a button. Now the poor man had no means of entertainment. He lay on his bed staring at the ceiling. There was a big hole in it, which worried him because his children slept in the same room. He spent most of his time discussing different projects over the phone and sending emails. In contrast, the poor man had to continue working under the sun. He checked his investments one last time to make sure everything was fine. Well, the answer isn't so simple. Yes, having financial stability is important, but it's not the only thing that matters. The poor man may not have had much money, but he had something that the rich man didn't have, and that was the love of his family. He then turned off the lights and went to sleep. His wife slept peacefully beside him. The couple had no worries or problems. They hoped that their children would become successful one day. Now the poor man was lying in his bed with his entire family. They were cramped and there wasn't enough space for everyone. Still, they were happy to be together. The heavy workload seemed never-ending. Every hour he felt exhaustion creeping up on him. But he pushed through it and tried to finish the task at hand. He put on some comfortable clothes and sneakers. He knew that exercise was important. So he spent some time lifting weights. After that, he went home and took a relaxing shower. His wife welcomed him and asked him about his day. Then they talked about their kids and watched TV together. The poor man was lying on the bed thinking about his miserable life. He had no one to turn to. He was caught in a vicious cycle of poverty and there seemed to be no escape. He pulled out his umbrella to protect himself from the rain. Despite the heavy downpour, he continued walking. Unlike him, the poor man had to wake up early because he had to reach his workplace by 8 a.m. He stepped out of the building and hailed a cab. He reached home in half an hour. As soon as he entered the house, his personal chef asked him if he wanted to eat something. The rich man agreed and ordered some fried rice. He ate quickly and got back to work. He had a conference call with his overseas clients. On the other hand, the poor man was walking towards home after a long day at the construction site. His body ached and his feet hurt. When he opened the door to his shack, his wife asked him how his day was. He just shook his head and lay down on the bed. He was too tired to talk. After waking up, he had to take a cold shower and wash his face with cold water. The walls were painted in light colors and the room was full of natural light. He sat down on his ergonomic chair behind the large mahogany desk. He checked his emails and some reports on his laptop. He then picked up the phone and talked to his secretary about an upcoming business trip. As for the poor man, he had to work under the hot sun. The work environment was dangerous and it was also poorly ventilated. But he had no choice but to endure the situation. If he wanted to make enough money to sustain his family, he had to do this job. He did that so that he could feel refreshed and ready to tackle the day. But there wasn't any time for leisure. For him, every second was precious. While the rich man took his time to wake up, he would easily get out of bed and yawn widely. He had no need to rush because he knew that he'd reach the office well on time. He enjoyed his cup of coffee that was made by his private chef. He didn't have to lift a finger. All he needed to do was relax and sip the beverage. 8 o'clock a.m., rich man versus 6 o'clock a.m., poor man. After breakfast, the rich man got into his Lamborghini and drove to work. 9 o'clock a.m., rich man versus 7 o'clock a.m., poor man. Now the rich man was working in his spacious office. 12 p.m., rich man versus 12 p.m., poor man. When the clock struck noon, the rich man decided it was lunchtime. 1 p.m., rich man versus 1 p.m., poor man. After lunch, the rich man went back to work. 6 p.m., rich man versus 6 p.m., poor man. When the clock tower chimed 6 o'clock, it was time for the rich man to leave the office. 7 p.m., rich man versus 7 p.m., poor man. The rich man was getting ready to go to the gym. 8 p.m., rich man versus 8 p.m., poor man. After dinner, the rich man logged into his computer and checked his crypto investments. He then read the news and browsed social media. 9 p.m., rich man versus 9 p.m., poor man. The rich man was driving his luxury car on the streets. 10 p.m., rich man versus 10 p.m., poor man. The rich man was having a great night out with his friends. 11 p.m., rich man versus 11 p.m., poor man. The rich man was lying in his bed, scrolling through his phone. So what's the moral of this story? Do you think money can buy happiness? Here's a quote that we'd like you to remember.